We are having Skyfox now over the latest pursuit in Southern California. We are breaking in now with this pursuit live coverage as LAPD tells us that they are pursuing a shooting suspect in the city of El Monte, making its way now on the 10 freeway toward downtown. This is 10 East. Look at the speeds. Our extreme nav picking up speeds of well above 100 miles per hour. And Laura, we have also learned that within this pursuit, an officer's vehicle crashed and another had a flat tire.
And we know, of course, Marla, in situations like this where you have a shooting suspect, you know, that's obviously a felony. So this person who is leading authorities on this pursuit has everything to gain by trying to get away. It's now about 10:40 at night. People are out. It's, you know, it's a weekend night, so people are out. And at this point, they have to try to isolate on him so that he doesn't get too deep into downtown where you're going to find many throngs of people, right? And it only escalates from there.
Yeah, a really dangerous situation. You see the night sun from the chopper above. We do have Justin O'Brien in Skyfox to help us cover this pursuit tonight. Justin, what are you hearing?
Yeah, Marla, I'm hearing this pursuit started out in the South LA area. A gentleman got on the 110 freeway at Slauson, headed towards downtown, high speeds, as you can see there, and has eventually got here onto the 10 freeway. I do understand is a shooting suspect, and the officers from the 77th Division, LAPD, in pursuit. They're considering handing it over to the CHP or asking for CHP assistance, but at the moment here you can see that LAPD vehicle there, several hundred yards behind, but certainly trying to warn other traffic on the freeway here tonight that this crazy guy is speeding up behind them, and just to give other drivers a little bit of warning, Marla and Laura.
How close is he to the interchange there?
Wow.
I think he may have just gone through that freeway interchange there, Laura. And this area out here, we're in the Baldwin Park area. The LAPD vehicles, they're trying to keep up. They've got their own issues, obviously, trying to speed. They want to drive as safely as they can. This guy here is trying to get away. You can see him sometimes here. He is driving on the shoulder of the vehicle, of the road. Obviously, that's a very dangerous place to be. Lots of debris. Could certainly get a flat tire quite easily. And wow, that guy's speeding up behind him so quickly. Let's just hope this guy gets off the freeway somehow, runs out of fuel, does something, bring this thing to an end before somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, that could very well happen given the speeds well above 100 miles per hour, as you're noting, taking to the shoulder at times to stay away from other vehicles and authorities, of course. As we zoom in and see that night sun, it looks like tinted windows on this four-door sedan. I know we're working to get the make and model. Is that a Cadillac? Okay, so I am being told that that is a Cadillac down below. We don't know how many people are inside. Of course, we know that the male driver is known to be a shooting suspect. LAPD is the lead agency weaving in and out of traffic on the eastbound 10. It's really like a game of Frogger here. And
okay,
Laura, when we talk about bringing these things to an end, the options are the pit maneuver or spike strips, and given the amount of traffic, neither, and the speeds, neither are really a possibility.
Really, sometimes the safest course of action is just to hang back, right? Because at the end of this, if someone gets injured or killed, as we've seen in some situations, it's not going to be worth the attempt to try to arrest him. So all this is evaluated on a case-by-case basis. There is a lot of discussion going on through the various agencies about how to best handle this. But as we're watching here live on Fox 11 at 10:44, Marla, you can see that he's weaving in and out of traffic. He's gone as high as 112. He's at 106 right now.
Oh, gosh.
And he's moving at speeds.
Oh, gosh, he's right there.
Yes.
That was like weaving, threading a needle.
Yes, he's sandwiching himself in and out of traffic, and people who are driving along who don't necessarily what's going on behind them, right? So suddenly, all of a sudden, you're in harm's way.
Justin, we know that this has already proved to be dangerous in that an officer's vehicle crashed, another got a flat tire. What do we know about that as we look down and watch this driver drive erratically on the 10?
Yeah, Marl, as we know, we believe the officer somehow crashed a vehicle on the 110 freeway, I believe, and then another officer, as you said, had an issue with a tyre. There is some reports possibly he may have fired a weapon at police. I've heard the police talk about the term package. That usually refers to some type of weapon. So it's certainly they want to get this guy into custody tonight. They're following along as safely as they can. Thank God that Night Sun is there at least to try and help us keep an eye and see where this vehicle is, but also give a little bit of warning to anybody out here in the San Gabriel Valley area, West Covina, that there is a chase that's happening. High speeds, 112, 117, 120 miles per hour tonight. This gentleman certainly does not want to be caught. So we do not know what the offence was, why police, whether they have been watching him, or whether it was a traffic violation that started this, or speeds out here into West Covina.
We don't know much about that original incident then, right? About what the shooting might have been, why authorities were pursuing him in the first place. But it sounds as though, has he been brandishing a weapon then from the vehicle as the pursuit ensues?
Unfortunately, we don't have any information that Laura. We just know that police, there was some sort of a shooting suspect, and that's why they were chasing him in the first place. We made our way as quickly as we could from that fire out in Fontana. We were listening on the scanner, and we just heard the police vehicle obviously run into a little bit of trouble. And if I pull out wider, you can actually see a little bit of distance now between the LAPD vehicles, and it appears they may have actually gone into tracking mode. I don't see any flashing lights behind there. So at this stage, this guy here is running from his own shadow.
Yes, and that's exactly what Laura was just pointing out, that sometimes the course of action that they take, because it gets too dangerous for the general public, which in this case it certainly is, they have decided to back off on the ground. But that does not mean that they have given up on the suspect, as now this driver is going to the far right here, maybe to the shoulder again. They always track from above, from an airship, just as we are from Skyfox. In fact, the two are often in contact with each other, which is helpful. These speeds are just so frightening to see on the eastbound 10, now in the East San Gabriel Valley. Picked this up in El Monte, and here we are now, all these minutes later, and several near misses here, Laura.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, Marla, because often in these situations, you know, they obviously know who the suspect is. They're trying to reach loved ones to see if maybe they can reach out to him, get himself to give up. I'm assuming this is a man. We don't know the gender of the person. But all of that's taking place, and the whole point is to try to de-escalate the situation. They want to be able to take the suspect into custody, but not have anyone else injured or potentially killed. So all of that sort of negotiation, it's a high-stakes game, but I'm sure that various agencies are working on it at this hour.
And when LAPD, currently the lead agency, Justin was referring to the fact that they were reaching out to CHP, the California Highway Patrol, which often takes over pursuits once it's on the interstate. So that hasn't seemed to have happened yet, as our signal here from Skyfox is cutting in and out just a little bit. But nonetheless, we do have a clear picture now of this shooting suspect inside this Cadillac. Maybe I'm hearing from others outside here that there are reports this is a 2015 to a 2018. Obviously, you can see those tinted windows. We don't know if there's others inside. We can just confirm that LAPD is saying that they are in pursuit of a shooting suspect. With that said, this makes this even more dangerous, and they do always assume that the suspect is armed.
Yes, and they have to take that into consideration as they try to decide what their next course of action is. But it's almost, you know, it's 10 to 11 right now, and people are out on a Saturday night. It's been warm in Southern California. So all of this has to be considered as authorities try to decide their next step. At this point, he's going 112 on the freeway, and we watched as he kind of shimmied in between cars. You can imagine being on the freeway and not realizing what's coming up behind you. Very little time for these people to react. It's really actually in the hands of the person behind the wheel of this car. He's pretty much deciding the safety of anybody else on the road that he encounters.
And as we've covered these pursuits over the years, we hear from law enforcement on if you do find yourself driving and you see a pursuit suspect, just to stay away. And if you can, if there's enough time to merge to the right, but often that's not the case. You don't have enough time. They're just coming up right behind you. But do not try to also be a hero. We've seen that where others try and help law enforcement. That can only hinder the chase, the pursuit, and then also put your life on the line as well. We certainly don't want that. If you do have a loved one out on this Saturday night, and especially in this area, please let them know that this shooting suspect is being pursued by LAPD. And all along, when we broke in just a few minutes ago, speeds have been above 100 miles per hour this entire time. So you can tell them, and that's why we're bringing this to you, of course, how dangerous this is to all of these drivers on this late Saturday night.
And we believe at this point it's still the LAPD as the primary investigative unit on this. There was some talk that they might switch over to the CHP. Usually those conversations take place and they decide the best course of action. At this time, he's going 98, 102 now miles per hour. We don't know exactly what he's trying to flee. He's believed to be a suspect in a shooting, and authorities would certainly place that at a high threat level, because somebody who has allegedly committed a crime like that has nothing to lose. He certainly doesn't want to be taken into custody because the full force of the law will be upon him.
He's taking to that shoulder again, doing whatever he can. Now he's in that lane, the far right lane, passing vehicles left and right ever so precariously. Now we're hearing that there are multiple people inside this Cadillac that is being pursued by LAPD. And while I'm saying that, I also want to bring to your attention that just in the last couple of minutes from our crew up in Skyfox, we are hearing that also LAPD has decided to back off this pursuit and go into what they call tracking mode. So they will track this suspect from the air, from their airship above, because it's just gotten too dangerous for officers to pursue this very dangerous shooting suspect. Again, now we're hearing multiple people inside this Cadillac, and that this actually originated. Now as we zoom in, you can see a profile of that shooting suspect there behind the wheel. We're hearing that this all started in South LA. We picked it up in El Monte.
And with the fact that there are more than one person in that car, of course, that makes it even more dangerous. So authorities have to consider all that. They're not just talking about the suspect at the wheel, but with other people in the car. We don't know their ages. They have to be especially careful because any move that they might make that could precipitate that this situation, which is already crazy and dangerous, could escalate from here, right? So that's the discussion being held at this point. It seems that they're taking a cautious approach. It seemed for a minute there, Marla, that he was starting to slow down, but now it's picked up again at 110, 110 miles per hour. Yeah.
Okay, so current location, if you're just joining us, this is the eastbound 10 now in Ontario. We have police specialist, longtime law enforcement officer Tim Lynn joining us on the line. Tim, right when you're joining, this is the slowest we've seen this shooting suspect go in the 70s. Speeds have been well above 100 miles per hour. How do you bring this to an end?
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult with these speeds and the way he's weaving through the traffic. It's going to be almost impossible to get ahead of him to put out a spike strip, because that's pretty much the only option they have right now. But being jammed in here now, looks like he's getting into the construction area. They may have a chance here as the lanes reduce down. And like I always say, the CHP knows their freeways and knows where the choke points are. So if they have one of those coming ahead here on the East 10, they're going to probably use it. But with all these other vehicles on the road, it'll make it very difficult for them to do that.
And Tim, as we just got the news that there are multiple people inside of that vehicle, how much does that weigh on the minds of law enforcement as they're trying to bring this to a peaceful ending?
Well, as far as the people inside the car, they're just worried about when it comes to an end and how many people are coming out. And as you were saying earlier, this is a possible shooting suspect out of the LAPD area, they're going to try to figure out which is the suspect is the shooter. Now, normally on these situations, they will, and now he's getting into that construction area. It's very dangerous. But we'll try to go after the driver, because that's normally what they'll go after. But in a situation like this, your suspect may be in the right rear that you want to watch for him to come out there and keep a track of that passenger. But hopefully they have multiple air units overhead who can then coordinate among themselves to be able to tell which one is going to take what passenger as they come out. And even with the media helicopters overhead, they're able to also assist on keeping track of the folks that are bailing out of the car. But as far as the safety of the people inside the car, they're going to do whatever they can to stop this pursuit, because the danger to the public right now is really high at these speeds. And these Cadillacs can really go very fast with the with the engines and the rigging that they have in them. They're very quick vehicles, very fast from the start, and it's very difficult sometimes to keep up with them, even with the helicopter. But at these speeds, now reaching 120 miles an hour, the chances of a very bad crash at the end is very high. So they're going to do everything they can to get it stopped.
125 miles per hour on this Saturday night. This is eastbound 10 in Ontario. It is so frightening to watch, as all of these drivers have no idea that this pursuit suspect, a shooting pursuit suspect no less, is coming up right behind them. Tim, when we're talking about the use of spike strips, obviously that would be wonderful if that could help bring this to an end and stop this dangerous driver. But now that we're hearing that LAPD is potentially in tracking mode, what do we do from there? How long does that last, or walk us through that?
It'll last as long as they have air cover on this. And what will happen is the LAPD ship that's overhead will start communicating with the agencies that are out in the Ontario area, such as Police 20, which is the Ontario ship, to take over, or 40 King, which is the San Bernardino helicopter, and coordinate with them to come in and take over the pursuit once their fuel situation gets to a point. And I'm just checking the radar system here and looking, and there is a secondary helicopter tracking it from Pomona Police Department. So they're staying out of the pursuit, but staying close enough to help. But among the helicopter pilots in these police helicopters, sheriff's helicopters, they're all on one common frequency, and they can communicate directly with each other and then say, hey, I'm down to 20 minutes of fuel left. Can you come assist? And then that unit will seamlessly come in, pick it up, and then the ship with the lower fuel can drop off and drop now into Ontario to get fuel. But, yeah, it's a complete handoff, and we've seen these things get handoff all the way up the state with the different air units that are in the area. And at this time of night, this is the prime time for the helicopters to be in the air, so you're going to have plenty of support out there to follow through. But San Bernardino, a very large county with a very large air resources, so they'll be able to pick this up. So as far as it getting away, is just the fact that until it runs out of helicopter support, they're going to stay with it. But the speeds right now are, I could tell you from having sat in a police car trying to chase somebody, it is very difficult to keep up with somebody at these speeds, because you're having to drive through people who have just had somebody go by them at 120 miles an hour. Now they're all kind of scattered a little bit. You're trying to weed your way through the area. It looks like we're making a transition here on the 15, it looks like. So we'll see what happens when he comes around here, and hopefully down in the area they'll be able to get ahead of him with some type of a spike strip. But a pit at this situation is completely out of it. But the way he's driving, I don't think he's going to have much talent to where he's going to end up running out of luck here and hitting somebody.
Now, Tim, initially we thought that he was on the 10, he might go to downtown. He's obviously going the other direction. He's going towards the IE. That is a bit of a break, right? Because there should be less traffic out that way and hopefully put fewer lives in jeopardy.
Well, yeah, the traffic will thin out. They'll make it easier for the officers who are in vehicles trying to keep up and trying to parallel this to be in the area. Now, all the local allied agencies are being notified of this pursuit as it comes through their area. So they'll stay on surface streets and wait to see if he comes off the freeway. But right now we're heading up into the 15, which will take him up to the Cajon Pass. And I have to tell you, that Cajon Pass is very dark at this time of night. And if the LAPD helicopter pilot is not on night vision goggles, it's going to be very difficult for him to fly through that canyon, working its way up into Victorville. The only way possible without aid for the pilot would he'd have to climb very high to be able to keep visual reference going through there. So right now I'm hoping that they've made contact with San Bernardino County Sheriffs to come out and to help out, to get in on this.
Okay, Tim, we are going to wrap it up, and we are going to thank you for joining us tonight, helping cover this pursuit now on the 15 in Rancho Cucamonga. CHP now officially taking this over from LAPD. Tim, Lynn, we appreciate your coverage tonight.
It started, we are told, with a shooting in South LA, and of course, police were in hot pursuit of it, and fortunately, no one's been hurt at these speeds, Marla.